Here we go.
G'day fans, guess what? It's just me. Can you believe it? I am on my own for the first time ever. So it has taken like 60 something episodes and I finally worked out a way to get my own show. So welcome to good old Rip It Off the Card. It's very, very exciting stuff. We're all here together on this wonderful Wednesday night. I am on my own. Our groupies, I've finally got the keys to the kingdom. How good is this? Now, of course, you're watching this thinking, well, where's my cohort? Where's Aaron? I mean, what's the deal with him? Well, you wouldn't believe it. Aaron, if you might have been watching a couple of our shows in recent times, is as sick as a woofer. Absolutely unbelievable. And if you want to know how bad it's going for him, get a load of this. So this is it. This is what Aaron looks like now. I don't know about you, but when I look at this image, he's either been chasing park cars or is he swallowing tractors? Because I've got to say, the poor old Aaron is as crook as a dog, which means he has been well and truly violated. How good is that? What do you reckon, fans? So I've got to do all the talking, but the thing about tonight, and of course, good old Aaron's actually here tonight. I've got all these things. I've got to look at the screen. I've got to look at the camera. I've got to look over there. I've got to keep talking. Yeah, hostile takeover. Absolutely fantastic. So, yes, Emperor Me. Very groovy. Now, of course, we've promoted tonight's show as the special guest bonanza. So the idea being that we've roped in, and I literally mean we've roped in dudes from all over the place to be on the show tonight, okay? And believe me, being on this show doesn't make you the greatest dude in the universe because it is only just our show, but it is a stepping stone to some bigger and better things. So we've actually got a number of guests on tonight, and I've actually got one lined up already who'll be joining us very, very soon. Now, those who are regular watchers of the show will be saying, well, is Ronnie, good old Ronnie, who's from Greg King's Cheaper Things, is he going to be making an appearance tonight? Well, believe it or not, we did actually ask him, right? I said to Ronnie, I said, dude, Ronnie Woo, you've done a review. Do you want to be on the show tonight? And he said, oh, I'd love to. But as it turns out, as I've got here, there was a serious order mix-up at AliExpress where apparently a customer not only got the item that they paid for, but it actually looked like the item that was pictured on the website. So good old Ronnie's getting his ass kicked from here to Christmas over that because, as we know, you can't do that. So I reckon that's actually kind of funny. So Ronnie couldn't appear tonight, which is a bit of a shame. And, of course, if it turns out that this format is extremely successful and people go, this is awesome, Dag's interviewing more people and more guests, well, I might kick Aaron off again in future episodes. So what do you reckon, kids? What do you think about that? Oh, my God. And how many normal people does it to replace you? Yes, shitloads. So poor old Aaron, he is a bit of a sick puppy at the moment. So you're going to have to feel sympathetic towards him. So, but you're not here to hear me yap on for the next 2 hours because, believe me, that's a lot of damn yapping. And I haven't even looked at the questions yet. Yeah, all hail me. Absolutely. I tell you what. So, what have they ordered? The world is ending. But I do have some guests tonight, and we're going to kick it all off with one of my coolest dudes who's not going to be talking about collectibles and collecting so much, but about where he's been in recent times. Now, and you're not going to believe it. I was about to press the button to bring him in, but he's actually left. I know he's I think he's hiding there. So if everybody out there who's a regular viewer of the show, been a good buddy of mine for 101 years, I have to bring in to the show, Mr. Geoffro. Look at that,
Hello, this is Ronnie. Geoffro can't make it, but I'd like to say that our products are exceptional, and I resent the fact that you'll think it's low quality. I'll give you another Chinese dragon. Thank you.
Good on you. Very, very good. You know what the funny thing is, before we went on air, Geoffro actually confessed that he actually has bought stuff from AliExpress before, so he might know Ronnie one-on-one. What do you reckon there, Mr. Geoffro?
Woo! Yes, Ronnie Woo!
Woo-hoo, yeah, indeedy, doody-doddy. Now, for most people who may or may not know Geoffro, just very, very, very quickly, from a collectible perspective, you've obviously been in the scene for a very, very long time, so just give us a very quick 30-second rundown as to who you are.
30 seconds. So basically, I started off being a fan in the 70s before Star Wars even came out. So Space 1999 was my big thing, and Jerry Anderson and Doctor Who. And from there, sort of always loved it. So progressed on to things like collecting movies on videotape and then DVD and then Blu-ray. and have a garage full of stuff that I bought at 1980s prices that if I sold now, I think Aaron would be very jealous.
Lovely, nicely done. So the key thing is Geoffro's got a long history in not just the fan community, but also in the collecting community as well. Now, even though this is a show about collectibles and collecting, recently Geoffro went to the US, when you could actually go to the airport and get on a plane and fly over there as opposed to what's happening at the moment. And one of the places, or two of the places he visited, was good old Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, the big Star Wars exhibit. And he went to Celebration, which was being held across the road. So you've got a couple of photos that you've sent through of your particular visit. We're going to chuck a couple of them up in a second. So it was a good trip. It worked well for you.
It was fantastic. Just incredible timing because we're coming out of COVID, and a friend of ours said, "Well, we haven't been on holidays for ages. Let's go to Los Angeles." And the idea was to go to Disneyland, and thought, "Oh, Galaxy Edge is really good." And I thought, well, what else can I go see or do while I'm over there? And it just so happened that the 2020 convention that was postponed due to COVID was at Anaheim at the same time, but the tickets were sold out. So I was a bit disappointed, thinking, ooh, so close. And then they released some information to say, well, they were going to do a limited release amount of tickets. And my wife, who's a night nurse, managed to, at 3 a.m. in the morning, get in the queue and score me a ticket for Saturday. So I was really stoked to be able to experience the celebration.
Well done, and we'll show a couple of pictures in a second. I like this one from Rusky Babes. Did Aaron regenerate? And Gavin said he's got too much hair. So imagine that you've been compared to Aaron and Rusky Babes and Geoffro all getting together. Fantastic as it is. It's Jeff World's party time. Excellent. So we're going to kick it off with a couple of photos, just a couple of random pictures. For those who haven't been to Galaxy's Edge, i.e. myself, even Aaron's been there, but Aaron got the ass off the show tonight, so you're stuck with me. So we'll just go a bit of a quick one here. So he's with you with the aluminium Falcon and somebody... I don't know who, and some random dude who just photobombed your picture.
Well, that's exactly right. So if you expect a guy in a wheelchair to move out of the way by the time another crowd comes along, you're sadly disappointed. So it's like, oh, fuck it. Oh, sorry. Just
good on you.
Oh dear. So we'll just have to take the picture. So with a little bit of expert time, maybe I can just sort of like Photoshop him out, but it is what it is. There's lots of people there.
Anyway, so the big ass aluminium Falcon, that's a pretty cool image to stand under, dude.
Oh, absolutely. And just to sort of go around, you can see it from all different angles and all that. I mean, it's very impressive, very impressive. What can you say?
So you even got to sit in the... Well, actually, I've got my pictures out of order. So you got yourself an X-Wing fighter here as well?
Yes, and this is just one of those things where you do the ride, which is the ride of resistance, and you get to the end of it, and there's all these fantastic sort of full-scale props and all that, including that. So the amount of time and effort they've put into decorating Galaxy's Edge is just amazing. And as I said, that's just sitting there for you to be able to sort of go, oh, wow, that looks fantastic at the end of the ride.
Poe Dameron. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's Poe Dameron's. I like that. Yeah, Geoffro is actually holding it. You're actually holding the Falcon up here. Fantastic. And you are right, Greg King. There is no 7-second delay to beat the language. So for our future guests, just be wary of the language. Good stuff. So there you go. And that's what I'm going to show you. So you got to sit in the captain's chair. Get a bit of Han Solo action.
Well, that's actually cheating a little bit, because this one was actually from Star Wars Celebration, where they had this sort of setup where you could actually sit in the cockpit. But the big thing about that one is, because I'm 6'4", you try and squeeze into this thing. So it was like, just the knees were just really pushing up against the old cockpit. But as I said, it was good fun.
And I understand it too with Celebration. The key thing about it is you got to spend a lot of money to get shit. Is that right, dude? It's a bit of a costly place to hang out.
It's one of those ones that you can spend as much or as little as you want. So I was speaking to a guy that was walking down the road with me, and he was saying, well, I just spent $250 on a limited edition set of books. And it's like he just said, well, I'm here, I'm in the mood. So It does make you think, well, any other time you may not have pulled the trigger, but as it, when you're in a holiday mode, you tend to sort of do the dollars more than you would.
Completely agree with you. And this is a very in joke. Rusky Babes said he's 6'4" in his high heels. Yeah, that's a hey it's Saturday joke for those who haven't picked up on that. Now, this is an interesting picture. What's the deal with this?
So when you go through the ride, there is a part that you literally walk through on the way to actually getting on the ride. And this is exactly what it looks like. It's a huge set. And the actual troopers themselves don't really move. So it's just basically it's a still set, but still very much an amazing just thing to walk through, because you can see how big it is based on the person on the lower right hand side. The only problem is that,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, so there's no people in in those suits. So basically, sort of they're just still. But the only thing is sometimes they rush you through that you don't have enough time to actually get a photograph of yourself in front of it. So the first time it went through, I didn't get a chance to. The second time I went through, it was like very much a rush trying to get a picture. But yeah, it just looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I would have thought if they had even like Disney's pretty clever, they had animated even a couple of heads to move rather than just be completely static. It's a bit unfortunate, but I guess if you're right, you walk in there and it's like, oh wow, that's visually really really impressive. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Yeah, like that. The invisible 501st. Yeah, totally agree with you. So, yeah, to smuggle you in inside a large overcoat. For Geoffro being over 6 foot tall, that would have to be one large overcoat. That's a gag to Obi-Wan Kenobi for those who don't know that episode. Now, this of the pictures you sent me, I thought this was actually kind of funny, right? What's the deal with this? With all the prams being lined up? Is that the car
That's
park,
it. It's like at Disneyland. It's got all these designated pram areas, so you can't get through without either seeing a pram roll past or seeing these prams parked and all that. So I just thought it was really cute to say, oh, well, you want a picture of a ship, then, you're going to have to deal with all the prams.
Just going back to the Stormtrooper thing, you said that they're all static props models that weren't moving at all. And I agree with this one, Colin. Yeah, they probably shoot better than the originals.
That's a good one.
That's actually very, very funny. Now, what's this? Is this like where you get your refreshments?
This is basically, I said it's a refreshment thing, but the particular reason why I love this so much is because this is the only place where you can buy those drink canisters that look like the grenade. So if you have a look on the left-hand side, you'll those there. The specially made Coke and Sprite canisters that you can buy drinks from, and I've got 2 of those which I souvenired, and I was a bit worried about the fact that initially when Galaxy's Edge came out, people were saying that customs were thinking they were bombs and confiscating them, but there was no problems at all. But it's it's a drink serving place, but they put the R2 unit there. Or R5.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
For those who are in the nerdy night, that's thermal detonators he's talking about. And I like the fact I just realized it's the Coca-Cola logo in Aurebesh, which is the Star Wars alphabet, which I think is kind of cool. So
yeah, it's brilliant.
Aaron, I like this one regarding the prams. You leave them there, then the jar will steal them and sell them back to you at a competitive price. Yeah, absolutely. But do they clean them first? That is the question you've got to ask yourself. So very, very groovy. Now, what was this?
Now, this is just an example where you really do have to sort of look out all over the place. So there are these things like that's just sitting in the bushes. So, you could quite easily just walk past it and miss it. So there's a lot of these little things where they've just slipped in and just said, well, if you capture that, that's great. There is one that's got a fountain, and every about 4 or 5 minutes, the Diagon Ogre comes up and then down again. So it's just those little examples of, you've got to really sort of know what to look for and sort of be in the right place. So that, it's just weird that that's within sort of a clump of bushes.
Very, very cool. I think it's from Mark, right? So he's just joined the show and he's realised that Aaron's regenerated into you. And what happened to Aaron? He's been traded in. I'm afraid even the Jawas can't sell Aaron. So they've been trying at Aaron's store for like a year and a half, and he's still there, 95% off discount, and he's still no one wants him. So there you go. Yes, everything is extra for the Jawas, which is particularly groovy. Yes, I love it. Now, of course, There's a whole lot of, I mean, Disney and Disney and Galaxy's Edge wouldn't be a theme park without selling a shitload of stuff. Merchandise. And I like this. You got an interesting picture here of some of the stuff. They had some of the pins and badges.
So this being Disneyland, they're very big on their pins. So this said you can go around to different areas of Disneyland and collect pins. So there's some of the ones that I got. So the only stray one there is when we went to Universal Studios. You've got the one second from the bottom right that's a Jurassic Park one, but all the rest are certainly from Disneyland. So the Indiana Jones ride, I've got 2 there, and all the rest from Galaxy Edge, and of course bottom left Star Tours, good old Star Tours.
No, that is very cool. I like the fact that you're showing all the Lucasfilm related stuff, then you chuck in the Jurassic Park pin. It's like, yeah, well, spot the odd one out here. I reckon that's actually cool. Now the groovy thing about it is, and this is the last picture I'm going to show regarding your trip to Galaxy's Edge, is that you get to see a lot of cool stuff. You get to do a lot of cool stuff. And of course, there are a lot of things that some fans would look at and go, oh, geez, I wish I could do that. Right. And even though the show may have been a bit of trite, being able to do this is pretty cool. You get to sit in Boba Fett's throne. How good's this?
That was exactly right. So there was a part of there's a pavilion. I'm just trying to think of what it was. I think it used to be like sort of the Marvel pavilion that closed down, but just around the corner where you go into that Marvel pavilion, they had this setup. So basically, you could sit down and have a photograph. So I thought, that's awesome. I didn't even know it was there. It wasn't even advertised. Just so I walked around and there it was. So I thought, got to take the photograph. And I was wearing the Boba Fett shirt just by crazy coincidence. Yeah.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have been a Jurassic Park shirt from Universal Studios. But that is pretty groovy. Old son is like, I get to sit inside the actual the place on the throne and all this. Did you just want to turn to a Twi'lek and say, "Can you peel me a grape?" I reckon that would have been the way to go. Well done to you. Now, you went to Celebration as well. We're just going to do this quickly because I got our next guest lined up ready to rock and roll. So there's obviously tens of thousands of throbbing nerds who turned to the Gold Celebration, which was the big Star Wars convention, also held in May. And you got a couple of happy snaps. I realize a lot of people are still wearing masks at Celebration. Was that the norm?
The thing about Celebration, it was mandatory that you wear masks, although there were obviously people that didn't wear it, but mostly did the right thing. They actually moved on a stand, and someone obviously had a speaker in it, so they could sort of activate the noises and stuff like that. Just looked really grass.
Very good. It's called a probe droid, by the way.
Probe droid, yes.
And I like this one from Baron regarding the throne. Yeah, was Bib Fortuna totally cleaned from it? Yeah. What you do is you go along, you actually deliberately leave a stain like spilled yogurt or something on there and go, that's a bit of Bib Fortuna. He's there. They never got rid of him. He's still there. One of the things that we had said in our reviews of Mandalorian and Boba Fett and whatever else is that Grogu was clearly meant to be the new sales, the cash cow of the entire Star Wars universe. And nowhere is this more obvious than all this stuff. What do you reckon?
Yeah, the Hasbro section was just really full on of everything. It was like sensory overload of things. So much so that when I went, I'm just trying to think what the little robot was from Kenobi, the girl had.
It's called Lola.
Lola, thank you. They had a person demonstrating Lola, and I'm going, that's interesting. What's that? Because I hadn't even seen it. And so it was just fascinating to see this advanced product that's coming out. Obviously, they were there to sort of merch it up big time.
Very cool. Speaking of merch, this one killed me. I saw this and I go, you got to be freaking kidding me, right? It's a section devoted to socks, right?
Socks.
And you can actually create your own, according to this over here. How nuts is that?
It just goes to show you that it's like, may the sock be with you. And I just thought that was so freaky. I had to take a photograph. No one would believe me if I'd said, listen, there was 150 socks you could buy at Celebration. So there's the proof.
Very, very cool. And just to finish up with your last picture, because like a lot of people saw pictures from Celebration and the costumes, the props, and all that sort of bizzo. This one I thought was kind of cool. The Lego display, I reckon that was kind of groovy.
Yeah, the Lego people were fantastic. They had a huge display, and all the models that are about to come out later in the year. And that's just basically, as you can see, I'm 6'4", so it goes up, way up. So yeah, that just looks really grouse.
Absolutely love it. And as mentioned by Christy, you know, shows from Melbourne or Australia when the word grouse keeps getting used. So totally agree with you on regarding that. That is absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, ironically, Geoffro's collection is actually quite large and extensive. And a lot of people know about it, as he mentioned earlier. A lot of it specializes in the Jerry Anderson years and Doctor Who and all the rest, or Docky Who, and various other things, and a load of books as well. But we're actually going to let Geoffro go. So, because we've got someone else we're going to talk to regarding the old Docky Who. So, Mr. Geoffro, I'm going to let you go bye-byes for now. So, thank you for joining the show. Everybody say wave ta-da to Geoffro, and we'll let him go. All right, we might see you next time, old son. If you want to see more of Geoffro's presentations and talks, if you go to the Sci-Fi Zone webpage under Talk Nerdy to Me, because we're part of a show a couple of years ago, he did a lot of presentations there, and you can actually see a lot of his collection there, which is very cool. Even Gavin is saying bye. So, all right, Geoffro, leave it to it, mate. Take care, mate.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us. Chowsy wowsies.
Bye. All right, very, very cool. All right, that's our first guest under and done. Now, the next person we've got coming up is a very, very important person regarding the show, as in rip it off the card. Now, he's not done this video stuff before, so he's going to be a bit new and a bit green, and hopefully keeps the language under control, unlike Geoffro, who's let the F word drop. So it's very important because he actually has his own segment on Rip It Off the Card. And, of course, it is Greg King's Cheaper Things. But we've never seen Greg King before until today. So, everybody, put your furry ones together for Mr. Greg King. How you going, old son?
Oh, howdy.
How you going? How you going, man? All good?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear. Absolutely love it.
Cool.
Yes, good on you, Mr. Vile. Stay nerdy. All right.
It's breaking up a little bit for me, but see how we go.
Yeah, no, you're okay at this end. Okay. So, very good, Mr. Greg. Now, like I said with Geoffro, now a lot of people have seen your segment, Greg King's Cheaper Things, and I'm going to get to that in a few minutes' time. So, just very, very quickly, can you give us a very quick, for those who don't know who you are, which is probably most of the audience, give us a quick rundown as to your collecting history and your history in fandom. So, go for it.
Oh, wow. That's, well, I've always been interested in space and sci-fi. I can remember since I was in primary school, probably earlier. So we're talking very early 70s there. I discovered Doctor Who sometime in the early 70s, and that basically took off from there. I've been a Doctor Who fan ever since. I became involved with the Doctor Who Club of Victoria in the early 80s. And that's where I started to get to know some of the good people in fandom, and basically been from there.
There you go. Even Mr. Phil has decided to slip on in and say hello as well. So, yes, very, very cool.
Yeah, I did. I did a stint.
Anything else?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I just saw Phil coming there. Yes, I did a year as the president of the Doctor Who Club in '87.
Well done. Now, here's the question. Now, everybody knows you from the Greg King's Cheaper Things segment on the show. And even though it's more Aaron than yourself, spoiler alert, you are the sole Greg King. That's what you were sort of promoted as from last year. Hey, as someone who's watching everything unfold regarding the buying and selling of all these products from overseas, you buy a product from overseas, it comes in, it's not exactly what it's meant to be, and all the discussions that have been going on. From your perspective, how have you found all that? Just watching it as an observer, thinking, oh my God, all these people are getting ripped off from these dodgy companies.
Well, it's been hilarious, hasn't it? And what a fantastic idea for a segment. So, but yeah, it's you see these ads come through on Facebook or wherever, and the pictures are of these lovely things, but you look at those prices and you think, I don't think I'm going to get what they're actually trying to sell here. And of course, as we've discovered, well, with Ronnie there, that's what happens. But hey, just a point. This jacket I'm wearing, I got this through AliExpress. Of course, it wasn't Ronnie's store, so I did actually get what I was expecting.
Very good. Now, Rusky Babes has put up a fun factoid. This is a funny one, and I don't think he's meant to be sort of insulting at all, but get a load of this. When he first met you, you were dressed as a weed. What's the deal with that? Why were you dressed as a weed?
Well, my very first attempt at, well, we didn't call it cosplay back then. It was just simply costumes, and we would go in a costume parade or a masquerade. So for every year, Doctor Who Club of Victoria would have a Christmas meet at the end of the year, and there would be a masquerade or a costume parade. So yes, I made myself a crinoid costume. So for those who know, that's a big plant creature, and yeah, that's what a lot of people know me from.
Very good. And of course, the other thing we discovered is that not aside from being a very, very cool dude, having his own segment in the show, even though you don't actually contribute to it that much, you're actually a serious collector of stuff. Now, ironically, Rusky, there's been a couple of comments here about all the stuff that's in the background. I mean, some people like Doctor Who, some people don't, but I think it's all part of the fun of it all. We've got a few photos that you sent through of some of your collection. Now, we're going to kick this off. This is no particular order. We just decided to chuck these in. So first off, what are we looking at here?
Well, breakfast cereal toys from the 60s and 70s mainly. Do you ever remember those, Dags?
They came in vaguely, not from the 70s. I do, not the 60s, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, so cornflakes and stuff like that. So I collected these to a limited degree back when they first were around, back in the early 70s. Just as a kid, they were great toys. Back in those days, getting little toys like that was just absolutely amazing, and we would spend ages looking at the pictures on the boxes and all the little characters you could collect. And about 20 years ago, I happened to come across a bunch of these at a market, and that rekindled my interest and the nostalgia with these, and I started collecting them again. So I have a bit of a collection now.
Because of your notoriety within the Rip It Off the Card show, how everything goes out in your garage sale. So Gavin had said he'll buy $2. The Vile said $2. Spankin has said, "Yep, you give it 200." This is in the previous show, and you're trying to do $2 for everything in the cabinet. So I tell you what, if you did decide to sort of offload anything yourself, I think everybody would just say $2 and I love it. Yes, just turn crinoid green with them. Be absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's not an unusual one. I suspect there's a lot of people who've seen those toys in their history and just never collected them. But it's good that you've hung on to them. So well done to you, old son.
Well, that was the thing. I had a lot of people, of course, lost them. Even people who collect them again now, because usually parents would throw them away. They're just rubbish in the end, or they just get lost or damaged. But yeah, I kept a little bag of them, and they stayed with me all through the years, and I still have them now. And of course, a lot more I've found in more recent times to add to the collection.
Yeah, you do wonder, out of all those ones from back then, because nobody really knew at the time, how many of those end up being choking hazards for kids. But anyway, enough of the cereal toys. If you're trying to buy them on a regular basis, you become a bit of a cereal pest. But there you go. Look at this, Rusky. I love it. He's sitting there banging this shit out on the kid. Look at the size of that one. Look at that. Cereal premiums. I was like, oh my goodness, from the 50s. Oh, absolutely like novelty cartoon designs. You just keep banging out those fun factoids there, Mr. Rusky Babes. Absolutely wonderful. All right, so let's move on to something we're a bit more familiar with. You got glass cabinets everywhere of lots of really cool stuff. So I see a lot of Star Wars in this one. Is this your Star Wars section, is it?
Yeah, so look, I don't have a huge collection like some other people I know who I'm very envious of. So I'd be more of a moderate collector. I tend to pick up things that I like or happen across that are not too expensive. I'm limited, of course, by funds and space and such forth. So yeah, so what you can see there is essentially my Star Wars collection. Figures and some spaceships and stuff like that. As for the cabinets, yeah, when we had this room built that I'm in, which is essentially my man cave, we got some display cabinets built against a wall, and because I knew I needed somewhere to display this stuff. I'm a collector who hates having stuff that I can't put on display. I see no point in having things if I can't actually see them fairly readily and easily. So I wanted lots of display space. Unfortunately, I have filled all my display space, and I now have a problem finding room to put stuff.
It is the number one issue for most collectors. Not having a big enough collection is not the issue, is not having the space to display them. Now, Rusky Babes, who's watching this, is a huge fan of models and all the rest of it. This should appeal to him too. Got some nice little designs and a nice little display here, old son.
So there you can see a bit of Star Trek on the second shelf there. So a bit of the more recent times Eagle Moss stuff. I was quite keen on collecting some of that back while that was going. And then above that, there's a bit of a mixed bag there, sort of Lost in Space, Thunderbirds, just bits and pieces. Again, I don't have a big collection of one theme. It's just bits and pieces I've come across that I liked.
Very groovy. And I noticed this too. This one I sort of threw me off. I didn't know, I realized you had a bit of a Batman section as well.
Well, now that covers two. So as you can see, that's all Lego. So of course, yes, I am a Batman fan and I am a Lego fan. Hence, there is a little bit of Batman Lego around the place.
Now, with that in mind, I did see this picture earlier. When I first saw this, I go, holy shit, what the heck? Where'd that come from? And of course, you've got the big Star Destroyer in Lego, yeah?
Yes, so as you can see, more Lego there, and all the better that it's Star Wars. And yes, that's the big Star Destroyer that came out last year, I think it was. So
how long did it take you to put that together? Sorry, keep going.
It's a re-release. They've actually released the Star Destroyer twice. This one's a little bit different, the way they've built it, but yeah, it's the second one. Look, I honestly couldn't say how long it took because I tend to build those sort of things just in an evening, an hour or two, while I'm watching telly or something. So it probably took quite some weeks, if not a couple of months to do.
Is it actually heavy?
It's not too. It's carryable. It's manageable. Yeah, I couldn't really tell you how heavy it is.
No, that is very, very groovy, I got to say. Because, I mean, the one thing about some of those big Lego sets is they're obviously not designed for the kids who go, oh, can I get one of those, Daddy? And it's like $1,000 and something or other dollars. And that's pretty hardcore. So,
yeah, we can't squish that one around.
No, you can't. Yeah, hanging it from the ceiling with the wires, you'd have to be pretty confident about it. Sorry, I cut you off. What was that?
I was just saying, you can't pick it up and swish it around like you can with the smaller models.
Yeah. So is Lego a bit of a thing that you're into? Like, because there's so much Lego stuff now, that it's like one of your real strong fortes. You go, you know what? You're a bit of a Lego collector and builder.
Yeah, that's right. So as a kid, I had Lego, as most of us did. I remember making X-Wings, Daleks, Fireball XL5, everything all very square and blocky, as Lego is, particularly back in those days when the bricks were a lot more basic. Then as I got older into high school and that, Lego just went by the wayside. However, around 2000, I think it was, Lego released their first Star Wars set. I thought, oh, look at that. And that basically got me back into Lego. I got some of those early Star Wars sets, and it's grown from there. I now have a significant collection of Lego, a lot of it Star Wars. And yes, I do like to make everything. I'm not a keep it in box sort of person. Again, the problem of displaying, of course, Lego takes up a lot of room.
No, totally agree with you. And of course, one of your big fortes is the old Docky Who. And here we go. I mean, it's a bit of a pullback of the shot, but mate, it's the Who coming out of the wazoo. Is that what it is?
So there's my collection of. So the top shelf is little Lego scaled figures. They're compatible with Lego. They're not actually Lego, but they were a series that were brought out that's compatible with Lego. And then the shelves below that are mainly the action figures from the new Who era.
Matt, that's it. So you've been doing this collecting the Doctor Who stuff. You've been doing this for quite a long time, haven't you?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, not as long as I maybe would like to have had, so that I could have got some of the earlier stuff, which of course is hard to get now. I grew up in the country, regional Victoria, so I didn't get the opportunities to probably visit stores like you might have had in Melbourne back in those days, even, where you might have been more easily able to get that sort of stuff. So really, in those days, it was the Doctor Who books, the Target novels that came out. I collected all of those. And it sort of in more recent times, when these action figures arrived, that I started getting them, and they're probably my kind of favourite Doctor Who thing at the moment.
Well, actually, it's very funny questions come through from Aaron, funnily enough, who you've bought a lot of stuff from. Do you have a favourite era of the Doctor Who?
Yes, of course I do. It's the 70s. So my favorite Doctor is the Third Doctor, and yeah, Third Doctor and Fourth Doctor era. So we're talking basically the 70s is my favorite era of Doctor Who.
Well done, good stuff. Now you've actually did send through a bit of a close-up picture, which I think is kind of cool, even though it's not Doctor Who, it's something else completely different. It's a bit of the old Batty Man. Oh, that looks groovy, dude.
There you go. So there's some more of my Batman. So again, just stuff that I saw that I liked. So a lot of different Batmen there. But one of my favorite characters is Poison Ivy. So you can see that kind of green hue over there on the right there. That's all my Poison Ivy figures.
Love it. Now, you see, it's very funny because I would never have guessed that you were into into Batman collecting. I just didn't see that one at all. So when I looked at those pictures, I go, "Oh, dude, that's completely left field." So, well
I thought
done.
you might like that.
And I like the fact you said this is like effectively your man cave. And I got to say, if you were like anybody here was actually a part of that and watching this, you got to love it because like look at these pictures, absolutely awesome.
So there's some more of my action figure collection. And indeed, some stuff that is still in the box or still on the card.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how it should be too. So that is absolutely fantastic. That's what I really love about it. I like it when, like you mentioned about, you've had a lot of things out loose and sort of around the place, but you still have a fair bit also still in their packets. And of course, as a mint in box dude myself, I've got to say I'm actually very impressed by that. So well done. So do you then sort of work out what you're going to keep packaged and what you're going to open up? Is there like a thought process you go through for that?
Well, I guess basically it's the action figures we're mainly talking about here. So in the early days of collecting the figures, they started coming out, these particular ones, mid 2000s. Initially, I was opening them all because that's what I wanted to do, and that was cool. I don't have enough room to be able to display everything still in the box, and I just like to be able to play with them, set them up, and fit a lot more in together, as you can see in the cabinet behind me. In more recent times, I have tended to be less wanting to open them. I've often I can end up sometimes with a second of something that I've already opened. So, of course, in that case, I keep it in the box. But while I've got space to put them in boxes, which I do have a little bit of space to do that, or I've freed up space by moving other stuff around, I've been happy to keep them in boxes. The other thing is some of the boxes, particularly in more recent times, have had really nice artwork. The figures look really nice in the boxes. So I've felt more inclined to keep them there that way as well because of that.
Love it. Now, there's a question that's come through from William. How many TARDISes do you own?
I would have to count them and get back to you, but not that many. It's not like I've got a shed full, but I've got them dotted here and there. I mean, there might be, I don't know, 20.
Very good stuff. Now, I was looking through a couple more of your extra pictures that you sent through, I've got to say, and there's some really good. I mean, when, like, the way it's all been put together. So how often do you actually spend in the room? Is this the kind of place you sort of zen out? You sit there and you go, you know what, I've got wherever I turn, there's something to look at. And it's like, oh, this is just like my place to be. So you spend more time here than anywhere else?
Yes, pretty much. It's basically, if you've got an office, for example, in your house, well, this is the office. It's my office. But my lovely wife has allowed me to basically do what I like with this room. And so therefore it's full of all my stuff. And she's happy if it stays in here. Unfortunately, from her point of view, some has leaked out into other areas of the house, particularly Lego. But
yes, I have heard of that. So I've heard that saga actually happening before. And I've got one more picture to show. You've chucked this in at the last minute. I had a look at this. I go, okay, well, it's all well and good. You've got all this stuff all over the walls and in the cabinets and all the rest of it. You can't go any further. You've got to have your own Dalek sitting in the middle of the room. Now, it looks like you've had a bit of a party in this particular room with all the stuff over the couches, but this is pretty groovy. What's the deal with this?
Yeah, well, stuff over the couches, alas, when you get full of stuff and no room to display stuff, the couch also becomes where you put stuff. So that is indeed my full-size Dalek. It's not official or anything. It's just fan made, you could say, not by me. A talented builder in the area built that one for me, and yes, it sits in the room. It's not literally in the room at the moment. It's currently undergoing some modifications. I'm going to put a wheelchair motor in it so it can move around. But yeah, that's basically where it's going to live, in the middle of my man cave.
Very, very cool. Now, the funny thing is, now, can you get inside it or not?
Indeed, you can. I have been inside and have done the thing.
And you walked around. You know what? Even as a non-Docky Who dude, even I've been inside a Dalek, believe it or not, and walked around and, like had the gun on that, what do you call it? The swiveling the top and all the sort of bizzo. So I have embraced my inner Docky Who, as it were. So that is absolutely fantastic. So just quickly before we finish up, so Greg King's Cheaper Things, still rocking and rolling. What's your advice to everybody? Go out there and buy lots of cheap stuff from Asia because it's all going to be good. What do you reckon there, Mr. Greg?
Well, I think the segment needs to keep going. There's plenty of cheap stuff out there. So get out there, find that cheap stuff, let Aaron know, and he'll do his thing and we'll enjoy. Absolutely
love it. So well done. Everybody say uru to Mr. Greg King, the soul Greg King. I like that. I've been inside a lot of things. That's probably not far from the truth, actually. So there you go. All right, we're going to leave it to you, Mr. Greg. You can now relax because you haven't been on the show before, and it's like it's stressing you out. You can chill pill, kick back, and watch the rest of the show, and it should be fantastic. So we'll leave you to it, old son, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So there you go. I've got to sit up. Everybody keeps having their cameras too low. It's just like, give me backache. So there you go. Very good stuff. Now, the next person who's coming up is actually not associated with Rip It Off the Card at all, but he's a regular viewer. He's been watching our online shows for quite a period of time and is also a dedicated collector of stuff, pop culture stuff, which is particularly groovy. So this is also a first-time attendee to being on an online show. So make sure everybody makes him feel a tad welcome. It is Mr. Gavin. Hang on, I was about to lose him. Mr. Gavin Atkins, all the way from Sydney. You have to tilt your camera. I have to get Newcastle. You have to sit closer to the camera, dude. I can't get any lower.
I'm just north of Newcastle in Port Stephens.
Very, very good. I'm going to have to sit up. You're killing me, dude, because I'm looking at all this gap above your head. There we go. I need you to sit up a bit straighter.
That better? Yep, there you go.
That is much better. Mr. Gavin, so he's been a regular viewer of the show for a very, very long time. And, of course, your specialty, one of them, of the whole thing, is the fact that you are a dedicated and devoted Yoda fan. Is that right? Where did all that come from?
Well, I was collecting anything and everything, and then we decided we were going to have kids, and the other half said, okay, find a focus. So I just chose Yoda, and that's worked out pretty well.
So it occurs to me, if you have two kids, and I know you've got two kids, you've got a boy and a girl, that's fair enough. One should have been called Yoda. The other one could have been called Yaddle. It would have been a perfect...
Well, my daughter's nickname is Snips.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about as close to Yoda as you can kind of get, but very, very good.
And
for those who don't know, that was sorry, go on.
And the son dresses up as Darth Vader.
Oh, well, there you go. So not even remotely close to Yoda and Yaddle, but I reckon that'd be kind of cool, eh? So Yoda and Yaddle, and of course, you've ended up with a third one. You call it Grogu, and you're cooking on gas. So spot the odd one out of that group. So you've been a part of the Star Wars thing for a few decades now, is that right? So how did you get involved with it all from the Sydney perspective?
Well, in 77, I was down in Victoria and I saw Star Wars down there at the time. I was 11 and I was just hooked from then.
Well done. And what about the collecting side? So you've been doing, as we said, you're a bit of a focus. You got I could just show a picture here. Like here's one of your Yodas. You got a whole army of Yodas. You're showing a single picture every single day on Facebook. Is that right?
Yeah, I've still got a fair few to get through. It's going to include trading cards and whatever like that. But all my first lot is going to be just of Yoda. And then I'm going to do another thing after that with Yoda and friends. So it'll be Yoda with other people in the pictures. Not so much friends all the time.
Yeah, because I was going to say Yoda strictly can't have friends because that's against the Jedi thing. But
yeah.
Relationships and all that sort of business. More of them do not, miss them do not. So very, very cool. And I understand you're also a bit of a fan of dressing up as Yoda as well, which I think is absolutely awesome. Yeah?
Yeah, well, I was going to put the mask on, but then I thought, no, I'll just put the hood and the snake on.
Well done. Absolutely fantastic. So regarding your collection, as we said, now you mainly focus on Yoda, but you do have a few other things, and you did send through some pictures. So first off, I showed this a moment ago. What exactly we're looking at here?
I can't remember what the type of crystal it is, but it is hand carved, and my daughter got her hands on that for me.
Well,
Not cheap stuff.
well done. That is very, very cool. And of course, you've got a bit of a thing about following the Yoda's philosophy and the Jedi philosophy as well. Is that right? It's like something you're a bit of a fan of rather than just the Yoda
Oh
collectibles?
yeah. But it seems all through my life, even before Star Wars came out, I was always that sort of mindset. Just being nice to people, thinking about nature and all that sort of thing. Because since the Force is supposed to come from nature.
Hmm. Good stuff. Now, you sent through in some of the pictures you sent through. This one will bring back a lot of memories for some people from 1990. So I spotted it straight away. And of course, this is the X-Wing tour from 1997. Yeah.
95, that one actually.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
97 is the one that Chris Brennan helped out on.
Yeah, because they had the X-Wing for that, and I thought that this is that same X-Wing. I didn't realize they had one a couple of years prior to that.
Yeah, this was 95 because that's the year my daughter was born, and my wife's rather pregnant there, and my daughter was born 19 days later.
So who's this handsome guy who's standing next to your wife?
Oh, he's long gone, that one.
You got to admit, when you see X-Wings, I mean, I don't think they built them full size. They sort of made them like 75% or whatever. But when you do see
Yeah.
them, they're pretty grouse, aren't they?
Oh, that thing was amazing to look at.
And I love the fact it's on the back of a truck. You know, it's like a completely undignified way of traveling around. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a bit, but I never got to see it folded up. But they did show some pictures of how the wings came off, and they sort of get tucked underneath them, whatever. And then there's a big tarp and stuff thrown over it.
Yeah. So
'Cause you
I don't know
couldn't
if that
drive
was the
around with the
same
wings
one they
out.
used. Sorry, I cut you off. What was that?
You couldn't drive around with the wings out, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was the same one they used for the 97 release for the special edition, but I do wonder where that X-Wing ended up, whether it got shipped back somewhere or got destroyed or whatever. So some of these things don't end up with a happy ending. Is that right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, be all right to be in the backyard.
Yeah, well, exactly right. A lot of people say that, right? And they go, "I'll put it
Yeah.
in the backyard, use it as a bit of a plaything." But of course, then you're subject to the weather and they're a pain in the ass to move around and all the rest of it. So, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, lucky they didn't close the S foils while you were standing there. Yes, completely true. But how cool would that have been? Just opening and closing right before your very eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So, getting back to your Yoda collection or your Star Wars collection in particular. Now, this is a crystal Yoda, yeah.
Yeah, Swarovski crystal. A friend of mine gave that one to me. She had two of them, so she only wanted one.
Oh, okay. So you got the other one, did you?
No, she kept the other one. I've got that one, and over behind my shoulder, there's also a Yoda lamp there, and that lamp she gave me as well.
Now, this is a bit of a spoiler alert because behind you at the moment is the picture of Yoda, and right here is another picture of Yoda. So, for those who want to see it a bit more properly, this is what it really looks like. So, where did this come from? Who produced this?
Well, I was teaching guitar over one of the nearest suburbs here, and it was my 50th birthday coming up, and I walked in to start teaching, and the next thing I see that thing up on the wall.
Wow.
The lady, she draws it out of chalk.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and she usually sells them for about $500, and that was a present.
Right.
I was happy with that.
William said there's an X-Wing at the Dramana Drive-In Playground. That's I didn't know that. I assume it's not the same one, but they don't tend to build these things to last. But so when you see them, yeah, you get all the pictures while you can. Because I've got to admit, there hasn't been like a live X-Wing running around since the 90s. So that's like in the 20th century. So yeah, it's a bit of a rare thing these days. This one's a good one. I do like this. This is sticking with the Yoda theme still. Tell us about this.
Oh, yeah. My brother hunted for a long time to get his hands on this. He had to get it imported from the States. And I cried when I got it.
Well, you would too, because like Frank Oz himself has signed it. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. And of course, the Empire Yoda, I think everybody can agree, is probably the best of all the Yodas they've ever had.
Yeah.
That is that like pride of place in the pool room, so to speak?
It hangs up next to the computer, so anytime anyone walks in, there it is.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. So regarding your collection, I mean, are you a person who says, "Oh no, leave it in the box or take it out of the box," or it doesn't? You don't really care either way. I mean, you got a
Uh,
philosophy on that?
it doesn't worry me. I don't even care about the price of things. But I love hunting around at garage sales and op shops and whatever. If I can get a Yoda from there, all good.
Absolutely fantastic. There was a Resistance X-Wing Melbourne for the release of The Last Jedi. Oh, I must have missed that. There you go. There are a couple floating around.
Oh, well.
Well, so very, very groovy. So in terms of like your collection, especially your Yoda stuff, I mean, you said like you're doing a picture every day on Facebook. How many Yoda bits and pieces do you think you got?
I've probably got enough to go for maybe 3 years.
Okay, that's 900 and something.
Over 1,000. Easily
Over
over
1,000 Yoda
1,000
bits.
things I'll be doing. Yeah.
Wow. So the two ways of looking at that is one to say, shit, man, that's awesome. You got a collection that's big, but that also tells us, man, there's a lot of Yoda stuff that got produced. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't care about getting one of each. I don't need doubles.
Yeah.
One of each is fine.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one too. But yeah, that's a lot of merchandise just related to Yoda, and I'd like the fact that you're very specific about doing the Yoda thing too. So, so with that in mind, how do you find the whole Grogu thing? So, with Geoffro when he was in Celebration, we saw the Grogu section.
Yeah.
Is that sort of like creep into the collection, or you just go, nah, that's a completely different character, doesn't interest you in the slightest?
Nah. Well, one of the other pics I sent you was a black statue of Yoda.
Yep.
It's a black obsidian that's hand carved as well. I do have a Grogu of that one as well that my daughter got me, and I think that's that and a Christmas decoration is all I've got a Grogu. My daughter's big on Grogu.
So that's funny. So she's into Grogu, you into Yoda. I mean, even though they're the same species, obviously, you do wonder if, like, do you guys have big conversations in the household over dinner going, well, no, Yoda's far more popular than Grogu or vice versa? Is that how it sort of works?
None of that, but we are intending on having game nights and whatever because I've got over 40 Star Wars games as well. So I've got a few of them to get through. So it's a lot of gaming. Yeah, and I'd love to binge watch all the DVDs all over again.
Did you say, oh, hang on, this is a good question. If they did a Yoda the teenage years, would you have collected a younger version of him? I suppose you have to. It's the same character, really. Yeah. It's like young Sheldon versus old Sheldon. It's like, yeah. I mean, you could actually get the Grogu character, just rename it to Yoda, and you go, well, okay, there it is. It's the same dude.
But Grogu does have bigger ears than Yoda.
Yeah, well, maybe they shrink as he gets, it's just like how when dudes get older, I'm going to be very careful what I'm going to say here. So maybe it's a part of their physiology that their ears get smaller as they get older. Oh, I don't know. I'm just stopping right there.
Yeah. Well, they certainly get more wrinkled.
Yeah, well, that's I was thinking I'm heading down a dark path with this. Now, other than the Yoda stuff, which I think is really, really groovy, and we've got another guest coming up soon, who's also a specialized collector in some things, which I think is absolutely outstanding. This one I thought was interesting. The old Young Readers edition of the old A New Hope novelization. So what's the story with this?
Well, I think that was the very first Star Wars item I ever bought. And I got it through the book club through the school back in year 6.
Very good. Now I've got no idea what the difference is between the Young Readers edition and the normal edition. I mean, obviously the yellow cover because the normal one had a white cover. Yep. Now, were you like me and kind of absolutely read it to death? To the point
yeah, that book is not in great condition, but it does have all the pages. And I did write stuff in it. I called that my Star Wars Bible because, I did just put footnotes and things in there.
Excellent. Fantastic. And for those who've never read the novelization, there's a fair bit in there that doesn't correlate to the film at all, but they do have the deleted scenes, which is particularly groovy.
Like having read 3.
Sorry, what?
Luke was red 3.
No, he was blue 5.
Blue 5.
They changed the colours around. So reds were blues for whatever reason. And in the movies, they change them back to red. So I was like, yeah, go figure that, kids. And there were 2 trenches in the Death Star. I remember that much. But, it was particularly groovy. Speaking of really old stuff, now you got this on video as well, the making of Star Wars.
Yep. That's an original. I don't even know how I got it. No idea. But, it's in my collection.
Well done. Absolutely fantastic. Hang on. I like this one. Yes. Yeah, for the Young Res edition, I like that. They don't get disintegrated. They just go for a lovely trip to the country. Yeah, exactly right. I don't know what the difference would have been. I mean, they just use less bigger words or something. So I like this. Yes. Rusky Babes, the Young Readers edition. This Stars made a Lego. Well, that's potentially go. It was a fair bit shorter and a bit easier to read.
It is a thinner book. Okay. It's a much thinner book.
Yeah, very, very cool. I remember seeing the young readers edition, thinking, "Why would you need that?" But I was a
Yeah.
kid when I read. I was 10 years old when I read the novelization, so I didn't need a young readers edition. I was already a young reader. So
Hmm.
anyway, not to worry. Very, very cool. Sticking with the video theme, I see you've got the not the making of the Empire Strikes Back, but the good old SPFX. Another one of
Mhm.
your treasured items.
Yep. Once again, don't know how I got it, but it's highly sought after.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because they did we showed it a moment ago, the making of the Empire Star Wars, and of course with the Empire they didn't do that. They just had SPFX, and of
Yeah.
course with Jedi they produced two things: the making of a saga and classic creatures.
Mm.
So the fact that it was FPFX, not the making of Empire, I just didn't get that at all. Now this one I do remember when it came out, and I haven't seen a picture of this in 101 years. The old Empire Strikes Back Jotter. How good's that?
Yeah, well, that was probably the second thing that I bought with my own money.
Yeah.
So that was a long time. One thing from Star Wars and one thing from Empire.
Oh,
And what I used to do with that, I'd go to all the magazines, cut out all the little words of Star Wars and things like that. So I should have taken a picture of inside it, but it's got just hundreds of Star Wars words in it. And also characters of names of characters and that sort of stuff all throughout it.
very cool. Good old Moneybag Sullivan's joined us. They changed the squadron from blue to red because of Eileen using blue screen in the blue. They were referred to as blue. They weren't saying the ship was coloured blue.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a necessary correlation for that. But you could still call them Red 3 and have blue stripes on the side of the ship. So, but either way, they went from blue to red. If that's true, then so be it, Jedi.
Yeah.
But
They're only call signs.
yeah, well, that's right. That's exactly right. They were just call signs. So maybe there's some truth in that. I don't know. Very, very cool. Yeah, back in the day, making of and with videos out the borrow when the real movies were rented out. Well, that's exactly right, because back then there was nothing else to go for. So things like SPFX and the making of Star Wars, especially when the making of Star Wars was on TV. Do you remember seeing that for the first time?
Yeah.
It was like mind blowing with it. R2 and 3PO going through the whole thing. Oh, absolutely awesome.
Also, those two videos I've got, I think they're actual video store ones as well. So they're not, the actual rental sort of ones. So they're not the cheap ones.
Very, very cool. Now, you're obviously been involved or been a member of Star Walking, the Star Wars Appreciation Society, for 101 years. And ironically, you've actually got the book where the name Star Walking came from, which, of course, was the Dale Pollock book of Skywalking. And, of course, the walking from this is where Star Walking came from. So I never read it myself, but...
you've got to read it. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
amazing book.
Down. No, that is particularly groovy. So for those who didn't know where the walking came from in Star Walking, it actually came from this book because it represented the Lucasfilm side of things, which is particularly groovy. And, of course, you got the Vault. I remember when this came out, this was like an absolute, like a boat anchor, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And also when it first came out, not many people could buy it because it was like about $120.
Yeah, yeah. And, of course, Steve Sansweet's the author, and along with Pete Vilmer. And, he's done a lot of fantastic books with Star Wars over the decades. And the last picture we've got here, I've got to show you is, yes, the Creative Impulse. This is another one you've got stashed away in your collection, yeah?
Yeah, that is a really good one as well. That, as I mentioned to you when I sent you the pictures, that should be in everyone's collection because it really is incredible.
Yeah, it's funny because like back in the day when all these books were coming out, the coffee table books they called them, a lot of people were really going for them because there was so few things about. Now, of course, there's books everywhere with the visual dictionaries and cutaway sections, all this sort of stuff. But when these things were occurring, it was like, oh, you got to grab them because they were excellent references to the films and everything that went with them. So before I let you go, because we're almost out of time, and I've got my next guest lined up, ready to rock and roll. So you're still collecting the Yoda stuff, but is there as much around now as there once was, or is it all sort of petering out a little bit in your eyes?
There's not that much Yoda because Mandalorian is out and all these other things. So Yoda's sort of disappeared a little bit, but I don't mind because I save money.
Yeah, well, there's definitely that too. I mean, I'm not even going to ask you how much do you reckon you've spent on your collection because I reckon it would be a fair bit. And I think you once told me you've still got a lot of it in storage. Is that right?
Yeah, I've still got a wardrobe that I'm still going through and whatever. 2 wardrobes, yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
But yeah, but you'll eventually see the whole lot with the Yoda pick per day.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a friend of Gavin on Facebook, it's actually my idea for him to do this. Like last year, I said, do a picture every day and see how you go and see if we get this big cult following going on. And of course, you're midway through the year and you haven't even scratched the surface of your collection. So absolutely fantastic. So, sorry, Eddie.
What is it up to? 180, I think it is.
Oh yeah, mate. If you got over 1,000 items, you're barely even not even 15% into it. So there you go. All right, we're going to let you go, Mr. Gavin. Thanks for joining the show, old son. Absolutely fantastic. So everybody say ta-ta to Gavin. He's first time on the show and first time on the internet as well. So hopefully it's worked out for you. And we'll see you next time when you're an audience member. Okay? Catch you later, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Bye. How good is that? Oh, my goodness. Oh, why is everybody sitting so low? They're absolutely going to soar back. So, yes, thanks, Gavin. So, yes, a lot of these people were sort of teed up at the last moment because, as you may have twigged, good old Aaron isn't with us. He's been watching so many Jodie Whittaker episodes of Docu Who that he just couldn't handle it, and he's sick as a dog now. So there you go, which is particularly groovy stuff. Speaking of which now, sticking with the Star Wars theme, funnily enough, but we've got our next guest has actually collected a fair bit of Star Wars stuff, including a fantastic Royal Guard collection, as well as all these other things. Now, he's a dude who hasn't been on the show for a couple of years, believe it or not, but he's with us tonight. He's got his own stuff to show. Please welcome to the audience. Big round of applause for my dude, my number one dude, MPS. Dude, oh, look at this. There's a big head in front of the screen.
I thought the screen stuff might be better than all these laybacks that you got. Like, now I feel like I'm in a dentist chair.
Yeah, so, exactly right. How you going, dude?
There you go. Yeah, I'm all right. Plodding along, collecting stuff, making stuff.
Very good. Your audio is a bit scratchy, but we'll try and belt our way through it, so that's okay. So very, very cool. So, I mean, it's kind of funny. There's a lot of people watching this show who don't really know who you are, so I kind of feel like an idiot having to answer these questions. But so collecting side of things, mate, what's your story? How'd you get into it all?
Well, I was thinking about that just before, and I've technically been collecting this since before I can actually remember. So I've got Batman figures and Batmobiles that I've had since I was a kid, and I've always had them. So my mum would bought them for me when I was real small back in the 70s, and I still have them. Did I remember? Nope. But I know I still have them in the collection somewhere. So it was Batman first, and then around the 83, He-Man came out, so there was He-Man stuff, and then it just kind of went from there. So, and then it was like pretty personal till early 2000s. Then I joined fandom as such. Joined Star Walking first, and then Oztrek and all the others, and it's become public, I guess.
Very good. Now, I know you got your own presentation, and as we've picked out, you're coming through very, very scratchy. We are aware of that. I don't think there's anything we can sort of fix, but we'll just persevere as best we can. So now you got your own pictures that you want to present. Is that right, Mr. MPS? So I might get you to do that for me, old son, if you want.
I'll make it easy for you.
So this would be some good stuff that's coming up about the dude's collection. Okay, and here we go.
We're going to get a little I went through the tattoo and we did on Talk Video, like 120 slides. I got 20 slides tonight, so I'm going to do a quick presentation with MPS's mini collection and collections within collections. It's almost like a Sheldon Cooper style sort of comment. What I mean by mini collections is things that are so small in terms of physical size, but actual numbers. This is the smallest collection I have. The two Buck ships from the core series. I couldn't think of a set or a collectible that I had that was only one. So this is the smallest one I had. Funny thing is, for as long as I can remember it, again, I always had a small one, and it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago that I found a large one at a reasonable price in good condition. So these sort of sit in my office just behind me. And although I don't remember much of the show, I do love the show. I always loved the fact that they were cool, like the battles, like Galactica, Vipers. So yeah, that's my smallest collection, the smallest number of collectibles too. The next smallest collection I have, mini collection, my Battle of Planets figures. Now there have been a whole bunch over the years over in Japan most. See, over here, these are the only ones that I can get my hands on. So the 3 12-inch figures, they're about, I don't know, 15 years old or so. The 2 Mark and Jason in the white and the blue are a different style to Princess, who's in the pink and the white, and 2 different companies made them. They all sort of match up, follow the same sort of size. More recent, those are the pop ones in the little case, and the Kubrick type style Lego type figures at the front. And that's all I've got of Battle of the Planets. It's not a very big collection at all. So it's probably my favourite ones though, because I always like Battle of the Planets. Supergirl. Now, from the minute Helen Slater walked out with that costume, and she just looked like Supergirl, that was it. I fell in love with the character. So there have been many versions of the costume, and as I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to certain things. And for me, this is the costume, the Helen Slater one, or the one that has the blue top and the red skirt and the red cape. The 90s brought a new version where she's sort of wearing a little bit less and she's got a drift, so it's like a tiny little skirt and a tiny little tank top and whatever. Doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in any of that sort of thing. But there you go, dude. Have a look in the background. You might notice something a little bit familiar. That's the album. One of your old albums.
Oh, really? Oh, at the back
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Yeah.
So yeah, my little Supergirl collection. Actually, in the IKEA cabinets, it fits one box. That's it, just one box. Don't need any more. One of my favorites when I was a kid was Space Ghost, and these are more recent collectibles because it wasn't really like back in the day. It certainly wasn't anything when I was a kid, in the 70s and 80s. On the right-hand side of the screen, there's a book that you might be able to see. That's the oldest thing. I found it recently, within the last few years, in a collector's place, just somewhere, I can't remember where. Something. But yeah, they haven't really released anything back in the day over here, so everything's brand new. The bust is brand new. It's only maybe 10 or 12 years old. The statue is probably about the same. The figure in the very front is actually a Hallmark figure that you can stick to your Christmas tree. I've kind of done a half and half here. I've left him kind of in the packet and kind of ripped him out of the box because the box is actually a closed box. You can't actually see it. There's a window at the front to look at him. Continuing on that, again, more recent stuff are the top vinyls, and they're getting harder to find nowadays, but I had them from when they came out a couple of years ago. And something that's been, and just the next couple of slides as well, the Mega figures of these characters. Now, they were never released back in the day. These are all new. And I got them from a guy in the US, I think, from memory, only about 3 or 4 years ago. Not cheap. Certainly not easy to get either. But there's Space Ghost. And I'll jump onto the last one. I'll talk about the Mega figures in a minute. Now, this is an interesting thing. I picked these up a couple of years ago. There's actually only one. So the middle one is clear. So it's a clear perspex. But it's light. So you can plug it in and let the light cycle through each different colour. And that's the colours you get for them. They're approximately 6 inches tall. I think that's a guy in Queensland that does them. I got Space Ghost because it was like 2 for 1 deal. And I picked up a few figures. And so I thought, why not get a Space Ghost one? Chuck it in the collection. And yeah, I love the way it lights up. It's just fantastic. Now, talking of the Mego figures again, we've got Blue Falcon and Dog Wonder. Now, I was in the shop with Aaron Daggs a couple of months ago. We'll talk about something we'll come up in a second that Aaron had never seen. But again, look, honestly, Hanna-Barbera, I loved all the cartoons. I loved all the figures, and they never had them. So these were, especially the Dynamite one, really hard to sort of make a Dynamite figure. But these are all, again, brand new. They're only a few years old. The 2 down the bottom are actually, again, Kubricks, that they had coins as a special deal later on. And it's 3 or 4 inches. Not in terms of height, but again, small, great little figures, and not many of them around. 2 packets that came out were Birdman and Dynamite in the same size, and that was all that came out of those and the Barbara figures. Yeah, hard to get, and now really rare, really hard to get. And this is what we'll talk about from a few months ago. I found a copy of Dynamite Dog Wonder, the game, which I had as a kid. I don't know what happened to it. Then I talked to Aaron about it. He said he'd never seen it. I found one in a brand new store, which I won't tell Aaron about, and picked it up quite cheaply. Took it into the store, and yeah, had a look at it, and it was pretty much complete. But for the $25 I spent on it, it wasn't too bad. And another favourite from the day, the Herculoids. So on the bottom, the actual boxes. I know a great collectible store that you could have got them from back about 12 months ago, but someone picked them up from here anyway. So Aaron had these, and I couldn't let them go. The top is not mine. It's a picture of what someone's actually continued on and created. So the boxes, when you take them out, actually create the word Hercules across it and have all the figures and all the characters, and it's just magnificent. It is long. It's about close to a metre in length or in width. But again, hard to find. Never seen anything before. There's never really been Hercules products since, or out prior to that over here. And here we've got collections within collections. So we're talking He-Man this time. This is the Merman collection. So Merman's probably my favourite character in He-Man. I have a fair chunk of what has come out, and in recent times, the last, say, 15, 20 years, a lot more has come out. And yeah, this is about the extent of it. There's probably another half a dozen pieces which are hard to get or unobtainable because of their cost. Down the very bottom, on the right-hand side, towards back, it probably is my original Merman figure from when I got it in about 1984. I won that at my school fete, and as fate would have it, that started a collection of Merman figures. But this is, again, a part of a collection inside of a collection. I also started doing something in the last couple of years because of COVID and lockdowns and stuff like that. You know, we all had a little bit of spare time on our hands every so often. So I thought, I'm going to pick out all the He-Man figures that they've created over the last 30 years, and not quite my original He-Man figure, but certainly my original battle armor. And as the years went on, these figures have all come out, including the last two, which are the most recent, which have only come out in the last 12 months. So in collecting He-Man, you got to collect Skeletor. You just got to even it out a little bit, even though I'm not a great fan of villains generally. Again, they're exactly the same figures from exactly the same time period. So the original Skeletor battle armor, and it goes through to the two latest ones. Again, the He-Man and Skeletor theme continue on, and for some crazy reason, I don't like anything that's uneven. So everything has to have symmetry. Oh, yeah, the plural. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know about that.
Don't worry about it, dude. Keep going.
The idea of symmetry, I love it. Like, originally, I didn't like the Millennium Falcon because it looked unsymmetrical to me. But over the years, I've loved it still, like everyone else does. But here, the symmetry. So if you have a look, and believe it or not, they're one on top of each other. But in my office here, they're side by side, and it's actually balanced to the point where if you have a look at He-Man, Skeletor's mug down the bottom, the money box, and the He-Man one at the top right, they're in the same spot. Basically, they're mirror imaging of each other. But again, this is just a collection of He-Man and Skeletor stuff, and it's more recent stuff than anything else. There are a few older pieces, but yeah, most of it's all the newer sort of stuff. Another small mini collection inside a collection. These are the funny ones. So these are characters that have only had a certain amount of figures made for them. If you go down to the bottom right of the screen, the black character Ninja, until 10 years ago, there was only ever one version of that figure. And it was very hard to get, and it's very expensive if you buy it on card. In the last, I'd say 3 years, they've released 4 different versions of the figure. And that's it. That's all the figures that there are of him. The same with Webster, who's the blue guy next to him. Up the top top left-hand side, you've got the Sorceress, and there's only a couple of versions of her that have been brought out, and the same with the Roboto. So, you know, you get your mermans, your He-Mans, your Beastmans, or whoever, and they're tons of the damn things. But these are the ones that are actually very small, and if you only collected these, your collection's complete, pretty much. That's all you got. This is a complete collection, believe it or not. These are Masters of the Universe Loyal Subjects figures, and that's it. There's pretty much no more. They've stopped making them. That's it. I think there's about 30 figures in total. If you see down the bottom row of them, you've got the original Skeletor, Battle Armor Skeletor, and a Battle Damage Skeletor, and the same with He-Man. So you've got all the He-Man and Skeletor versions. You even got your Battle Cat and your Panther. Merman's up the top again. So if you wanted just to collect a version of He-Man figures without them being big or chunky or whatever, these guys are about 3 inches tall, and that's it. That's the entire collection. So job done. You know when they say collect them all? We've collected them all. Inside my Batman collection, which feels like it's getting smaller every year, but it's not. It hasn't actually moved. One of the things I was collecting at one point were just Batman, all these man figures. I should be doing something about that, shouldn't I? Batman busts. So the bust or the chest section and head section of a character, and just the Batman versions. I got Robin in there because it's Robin, whatever. But for the most part, this is just another section of the Batman collection that I have, but pretty much having most of them in the collection. I think there's one that's somewhere in a cupboard, and I may be missing one. I can't recall, but that's pretty much it. There are other money boxes, but we're just talking about the busts here. The black and white Batman statue series. This is a beautiful series. I love these statues. There are a ton of them out there. Originally, it was only a few. Then they got more and more popular. They were based on the black and white Batman comic book series from the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s. And some of the statues are magnificent. They're 6 to 8 inches tall, and they just represent pictures, mostly covers of the characters. The top middle one, which is from Batman Year 2, is the most recent edition, and was actually sold out pretty quickly. So to get one of them over and in one piece pretty much was a bit of an accomplishment. And here's a small collection inside a collection again. Pop vinyls. I've got a few of these hanging around. I've got the likes of the Gorn from Star Trek and some of the Muppets. And some Batman ones as well. But what I tried to put together was a Super Friends one, because I always loved Super Friends as the cartoon. And once they brought out the Wonder Twins, that was it. The rest were easy, you know. Wonder Woman in her invisible jet. You got the 70s looking Batman, the 70s looking Superman. The only one I'm missing is Aquaman, and he sucks as a character anyway, so I'm not really fussed if I don't get him, but it'd be nice to find out if I can. It's a little bit older, but one day, maybe, if I could be bothered. And just for Daggy, the Royal Guard collection. So inside a collection, these are pretty much the majority of figures that the Royal Guard or Royal Guard figures have been put out, and anything I get my hands on. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 pieces that I just don't have for various reasons, including a couple that are actually custom made or a little bit different to the rest of them. And they're all the red guard. I don't have any of the blue Coruscant guards, and I don't have any of the black. I can't remember what the other one. What are the black ones called?
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. Any of
Black
those,
dude.
they're not
Yeah.
worth it. They're all red. In the back there, you've got a painting. They're fairly rare now because the artist decided he wasn't going to do any more. So there's only a handful of them around the place. If you have a look, there's on the top. So I'm in the suit. That's me in the suit, hanging around, doing nothing. Thanks, Daniel. Shadow Guard. Good on you. Knew there was a nerd in the place that could tell me something. So I'm in the suit. That's my suit. It's been around for a lot of years now. The suit's pretty much semi-retired. Behind my shoulder up there is a white Royal Guard. That's actually a Bunnings Royal Guard. So Bunnings were putting out Star Wars stuff for a while. And if you were lucky, you could grab some of those. I think currently they have other figures in stock as we speak. But that is, again, like the last sort of idea of having just one character and focusing on one character. It's not as many as Yoda. There's far less Yodas, but what can I say?
Because we started off and we had some audio issues with you, and we got to see the pictures. We didn't get to see a lot of the text. I'm going to run you over an extra couple of minutes, not to go back of the past, but just ask a couple of questions because it was mainly a presentation rather than the discussion. So now that your audio is all sorted out, so very quickly, you obviously collect a lot of stuff, and I do love the Royal Guard collection. I think it's fantastic. It's like Gavin's Yoda stuff as well. So your philosophies, I mean, you're an out-of-the-box kind of guy. You're in the box kind of guy. Does it matter either way from your perspective?
It used to be a little bit of in the box. Now it's out of the box. I would rather see the figures out, be able to maneuver them, put them in dioramas or have them do certain things. It's far more interesting that way. There are the odd figures that I've kept in the packet because they are worth a fair bit to stay there. So it's easier to take out the ones you know aren't going to make too much of a difference and keep the cool, expensive ones in the packet.
So, of all the stuff that you've got, so you got the Batman one, all the Super Friends ones, and the Royal Guard ones, and all the He-Man ones. Do you actually have a favorite? Is there any particular section that you go, you know what, that's my pride and joy of the lot?
It actually changes. So there are some, like the last couple of years because of COVID and all that sort of stuff, the He-Man stuff has been getting more attention than anything else. I sort of stopped collecting the Batman things because it was just getting ridiculous, you know. So, like what we discussed on the doco, I think I've got to the point where you've gotten with Batman Forever, with the Dark Knight Rises, and then the new Batman versus Superman, and that I've just gotten over seeing all the figures that they've created that are just, I can't be bothered. So I sort of backed off on them and focused more on the He-Man stuff, which is just having stuff thrown out left, right, and center.
Very cool. And Aaron has made a point. Look, you didn't barely touch on this, but you're obviously a bit of a thing about the Lego side of things. So probably for the last bit before we let you go, your Lego history. I mean, not what you've built, but from the collecting point of view. I mean, just give us a very quick summary of that.
So the Lego side of things started again when I was a kid. I think from probably about 8 when I went to a friend's house. His brothers and sisters had a table full of Lego. It was phenomenal. I entered my first Lego competition at about 10. And in the last, say, 12 years or so with Brickvention, the Victorian Lego convention, I've built a whole bunch of fan-based models going from Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, Space Ghost, Phantom Cruiser. I've done various Bat Caves. I'm trying to think of what else there is. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but essentially I'm doing pop culture items that have never come out, and I just wanted them. So
very good stuff. So if you're ever creeping around out there to Brickvention, make sure you give MPS a bit of a visit and check out his stuff. But yeah, in terms of a collecting point of view, yes, he's got a lot of very, very groovy things. I think people will be hard pressed to walk in, check out his stuff and go, nah, it doesn't float my boat. So well done, sir. We do apologize for the first 10 minutes about your audio issues. We finally did get them resolved, which is the most important thing. So for those who are watching this on replay, you go back and watch. After 12 minutes, we finally figured out what the problem was, and it's all good from there on. Well done, sir. I'm going to let you go. So thank you for joining for the show and showing us your bits and pieces. It's been absolutely fantastic. So everybody wave bye-bye to MPS. and we'll leave him to it. All right, catch you, dude.
Yeah,
All right. Good stuff. Hang on, he's still there. Why is he still there?
I'm still here.
Oh,
You don't want me to go.
There we go. Oh, very good. I pressed the wrong button. Bloody hell. Okay, so believe it or not, we do apologise. So that was a bit of a cock up in the audio. We finally found what button to push and we got it all resolved, which is a very, very groovy. All right, so now the next thing that's coming up, the next guest, we've got 2 more to go, and we're saving the best to last. But in the interim, we've got this other dude, right? So when people in Rip It Off the Card talk about spanking, right, they're usually thinking of this. But there is actually a real one, believe it or not. And he's been sitting here for a while, waiting to come on. He has been on the show once before. It was like over a year ago. So some people might go, oh, him again. But others might go, oh, wow, he's returned. So believe it or not, we have to welcome the real Spankin. It's Spankin. How you going, dude?
Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, yeah, hello.
Get yourself in a nice seated position, nice and straight. Everybody's sort of been up and down. Move a bit to your left if you wouldn't mind. Thank you, sir. A bit more towards R2. Other way, dude. Other way.
I'll do whatever everyone else is doing.
Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, good on you. So, dude, I got a bit of an old-fashioned video to show you, and I'll show people in a second about your collecting and what you've got. But already behind you is an R2, so it goes to show a little bit about your collecting history. So, hey, first off, how did you get into the whole collecting thing? Just keep it relatively short. And what's your background and history, old son?
That's a really good question. Well, obviously started collecting the toys and whatnot as a kid, as we all did. And then with masks and actually, no, I think it was the Don Post Darth Vader helmet that came out whenever the hell that was, and other things. But just started making costumes after seeing them on the screen, and then just sort of evolved from that. It's like, oh, someone's made this, or I can make that, and I don't know. I've been collecting for 40 plus years. I'm old. I can't remember half that stuff.
And it is a damn big collection too. I like this one from Colin. Yes, how's the little dude? You do actually have a little dude running around the house at the moment. He's probably in a different room at the moment. Is that right?
He's in a different room because he was having a bit of a whinge. But if he's watching, my son.
Very good. Yes, he's not a real collector. He makes it all himself. And I do actually have some footage I'm going to be showing you in a tick about some of your history. So you're a bit like MPS we had on a moment ago. You got like fingers in pies everywhere, haven't you? So you got the whole thing with the posters and the props and the costumes and all the other bits and pieces. I mean, is there any one thing on? And I will show some footage in a few ticks for those who have no idea what I'm talking about Spankin's collection, which has invaded the entire house, hasn't it?
It has, yes. Well, the house is technically my man cave. It's not just one room. Although since the little fellas arrived, it sort of seems to get pushed further and further away. But yeah, no, it's, I don't know. What was the question again? I've lost it.
That's all right. Well, if you want, I can show some footage of some of your stuff. We did show this a year. It's like been over a year ago now, so some time has passed, right? Okay. So we can sort of show this again. So, funny enough, we just had like MPS on a moment ago, who's a massive Royal Guard collector. So there you go. And as we said, yeah, the little dude's watching you, and of course, he's watching you. Who's watching him? That'd be Natasha. But we're just going to skip through. We're not going to show it all in its entirety. But this was over a couple of years ago when your place looked before the little dude invaded the joint. But here's some of the cool things about your joint. Is that right, old son?
Yeah. Oh, geez, what's going on there? Oh.
Yeah, that's actually in Aaron's store at the moment. For those who are wondering, if you've got $1,000, you can buy yourself an alien there. But yeah, that was yours originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the bathroom for a while.
Which is why I put it in this video, because I thought, who has an alien egg in their bathroom? I mean, seriously. But you're a collector of actual life-size props and statues and stuff, eh?
Yeah. I think my audio is funny.
No, you're fine. I can hear you.
I prefer the larger stuff because it's just a bit more of an impact. Like anyone can go into a shop and buy a 6-inch or 12-inch figure, but if you've got the life-size thing there, I think it's a bit more impressive.
Yeah, and these things were all over the place at one time, weren't they? So now some of these, you bought some of these, and some of these things you end up sort of making, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, the Predator I bought, Batman's cast from. It's got screen. I don't know, it's a cast of a cast of a cast from screen used. Oh, geez, that looks terrible. I think that's the George Clooney one. I think.
Here's a good one. Do you have tours? He probably would have a few years ago, but these days with a little dude, the house doesn't exactly look this way anymore, does it?
Nowhere near as much.
So, actually, when we had Greg King on earlier, he had a Dalek, and you've got a Dalek too. Everybody seems to have a Dalek these days. What's the deal?
Well, you need to get one.
What do I want one for?
Well, because you need one. Everyone else has got one.
And for those who were wondering, most of the knobs on the Dalek are missing because the little dudes pulled them off. Is that right?
Yep.
So, like you can see all those knobs. Yeah, most of those aren't there anymore. So, I mean, what's the deal? Do you sort of go out and are there special places that you go to and visit and all the rest of it, or is this just something you've just picked up over time?
It's a bit of both. If I can't find something that's close to it, I'll usually make it myself. With some props, for example, Prop Store London, I do get a few things from there. Also, there's eBay, another replica prop forum. There's a whole bunch of places. But if you are going to buy a prop, and if you want it to be a genuine movie prop, make sure you do your research, either on the people selling it or how it came about. But a lot of the other stuff I just make.
Very good. And of course, you're a bit of a Boba Fett fan too, weren't you? You got a whole costume.
I was.
Yeah. So is this something you made yourself, or is it something you picked up along the way?
I painted that myself. I didn't make it. Oh, well, hang on. The helmet I didn't do. That's mine. Getting back with Fett. Yeah. Some of it's I've made, some of it I've bought. So it's a mixed mash of my work and other people's work.
Very good.
That's
very
Frank.
Good. Yeah, so for those who were in Aaron's store for the past few months, you would have seen a Frankenstein in the shop in between Robbie and Deadpool. And of course, I wasn't aware of this at the time. You actually made this yourself, yeah?
Yep. That's a shocking paintwork.
I like this. Yeah, spanking after a big night out. Yeah, love it.
This is in the theatre room.
Very cool. And of course, you got all your posters in the background too. Yeah, I love this. Used to have a Harvey the face hugger on that's the front door, by the way, fans. So if you like your creepy crawlies, Spankin's place is the place to go. Rocket, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a massive Rocketeer fan. Apparently, they're doing a TV series, but still waiting on it.
Oh, yeah, of course they are. Yeah, absolutely. I thought this was fantastic. This was out in your backyard, wasn't it? Eh? You just had an ET on a bike out there.
I think it's still out there.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is still there. So this is one for Gavin. Yeah. So, and the key thing about this particular picture is, of course, in the background, you got all the statues in there, like the Superman one, and it's a bit hard to see what that one is there. And you've got the one on the top, and this is some of the work that you're making over here. So, yeah, very groovy, old son. You're a bit of a creative dude, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's unfortunately it's an addiction. It's like a drug.
Now, we had said ages ago when the little dude was coming along, you needed to take the lid off this and put his bed inside there. What do you reckon?
He's probably a bit big for it now. Actually, I might get in trouble for saying this, but little dude's going to have a brother in November.
Oh, there we go. It's out there. So there we go. Very, very cool. Or maybe the little dude. Anyway, for Docky Who fans, there's something for everybody. Is that right? Other than Daleks?
Yep.
So from the collecting, this is also in your theatre room with all the glass cabinets and all the rest of it. So with so much different material here, was there something in particular that you always look for?
No, if I just like it, I get it. So, yeah, I don't know. I do look for quality and how real they look. I do personally prefer actual props rather than, say, a replica or a fan made or whatever. But as long as it looks good, I like it. There's a few things in that cabinet that are real. Oh, yeah.
I love the way you like everything's sort of displayed, because I know you went to the trouble of painting the room and putting it all the stuff in there, and it's like everywhere you look, you see something, and I reckon that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
It's interesting. The wall looks really blue there, but it's actually quite dark in there.
yeah. So I know you say you have a lot of screen used props as well. So how do you sort of find all that? Like, is that the kind of thing where you like unfortunately can't get as much as you'd like to get based on financial restrictions?
Yep. And also room. Like there's been some marvelous things that come out, but my God, they cost a lot of money. Actually, if you pause it there, I don't know if you can see the little Coke thing, the Coke label. And there's a yellow one just to the left of that. Yeah, they're actually from Charlotte's Web.
Okay, because you knew people who worked on those shows, yeah?
Yeah. But that's the other thing. I know people who work on the stuff, work on the films. Oh, they're my teeth from a film. Who people give me things, or I'll buy things, or I don't know. Yeah.
In terms of screen use stuff, what do you reckon is the most valuable or the rarest thing you've got?
Oh God, I've got a few Indiana Jones items that are valuable. Like one of the Nazi jackets, one of the miniatures, which I don't think it's in this. God, I don't know. There's a lot. I don't know if I ever drop dead. Tash should be wealthy if she sells it all. Anyway, I got a few things from Star Wars as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's only worth what you're willing to pay for it.
Yep.
That's from Mad Max. That's one of the original helmets from Mad Max 1.
The skulls have a history, don't they? Where are they from?
They're from Wolf Creek. A couple of storyboards from Star Wars and Raiders. They were from the prop store.
Yeah. It's Aladdin's cave indeed. So, yeah, it's pretty groovy. Signed by Dennis Murin.
Have you paused that for a tick? Because there is actually a shoe print on that.
On this?
Yeah, you can sort of see where it says elements, and you got the circle with long zoom in it.
Yeah.
Just to the left of that, you can just make out the shoe print.
Well, there you go. How good's that? Very, very cool. I like the fact you deal with both like large and small things. So there's no shortage of Stormtrooper helmets in your place, is there?
No, it's mainly large though, I think.
Yeah. Nah. I love it. Oh, there's a picture. There's a famous picture of the whole gang when we were in Disneyland back in 2018.
Is that when it was?
Yep.
Wow. They're 3D printed.
Because you're into 3D printing now, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. Although one of my printers has sort of died and gone to heaven. It needs a service.
Very cool. Now you painted that, didn't you? The Falcon?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that was the cheap toy you could get from Maya, and then they released through other like the RPF and a few other places released kits that you could put onto it to make it screen accurate.
So posters are your go as well, aren't they?
Unfortunately, yes.
Far out.
I've probably close to 2,500 posters. That's Richard Dreyfuss, Harry Fisher.
Now this one's an interesting one. So you showed me this. It's like Tucker. Most people haven't heard of Tucker, but of course it was a bit of a big deal because this one's been signed by two people, both George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah.
Yes, it has. Yes. It's actually a good film. I don't know whether people actually know much of it, but it's a good film. I enjoyed it.
Good stuff. So with all these little dudes turning up, are you still collecting or you've given it up?
Well, I might happen to get the odd thing here and there and slipping it in to the collection.
Very good. Now, have you got any puppets there that you've been making recently? Have you got?
Yeah, I've got.
Just put one on TV. We're going to let you go in a tick because we're ready for our last guest who's sitting there nice and patient. So there you go. You know, you're on live on camera. The whole world's watching. Yeah.
That's my Chewy. I've been making him.
You know what? That looks like Aaron because Aaron's as crook as a dog at the moment, so I probably can't.
Well, actually, I'm not too good myself. I reckon he's put it through the internet and somehow I've got something from him.
Absolutely fantastic. So you've got an absolutely outstandingly good collection of a lot of things. What I like the fact is like big things and little things, screen used, replicated props, just normal toys, which you didn't even really sort of show in great detail. And it really is. It's not a man cave. It's actually a man house, even though the kid's taken over most of it. Is that right?
Yeah. No, well, a lot of things are fenced off now, so he can't really get to them. He likes playing with this R2 unit. You know, mind you, he got his finger caught in it the other day. Poor little dude.
Yeah. And Mick has made a point about the life-size statues. Well, the thing is that a lot of people can't really have them because they take up so much space. But Spankin managed to fit them all in the house, and they do look pretty spectacular. It is a bit overwhelming. We used to go, not so much now because things have been moved around for the kid, but you know, when you used to go there, it's like, oh my god, I can imagine like Jesus, because it's just there's not something most people are used to. So they're used to seeing cabinets and toys and whatever, but when you're seeing all the statues, it's like friggin' hell. So, it's fantastic you got them because you're definitely a hardcore sort of movie fan, yeah?
Yes. Well, not just films, but television, comics, you name it. I'm just a geek. But they're more talking pieces as well.
Yeah.
So people go, where'd you get that, or how'd you get that? Unfortunately, I don't stop. I'm building 3PO at the moment, which is not finished, so it's not here either. But it's non-stop, non-ending.
Very good. Well, we have to let you go, Mr. Spankin, because your 20 minutes is up. It's been absolutely fantastic. Hope everybody's enjoyed your quick trip through of your household, because we've got our last guest coming up in a tick. So, but before that, Mr. Spankin, I hope you've enjoyed it all. Everybody say wave bye-bye to Spankin and his little dude +1. And you can go yay team from the other room, which is absolutely fantastic. And we'll catch you all next time. So there you go, dude. Leave you to it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, good stuff. We're getting through this episode slowly but surely. Everybody keeps sitting so low, it's just giving me backaches. But yes, there we go. Awesome Spankin. I'll tell you what, he's the coolest dude of all time. But if you're a regular viewer of Rip It Off the Card, one of the most famous segments is the old Vile file. Now, the irony of that is the fact that people actually write in messages wanting to talk to the Lord Vile, but most people have never seen him or met him. They don't know who he just is. That's the most important thing. Well, finally, you actually get to see him in the flesh, in all his Sithness. And this is the most special guest we've had on the show. He's his first time live on the internet, so if he's a bit shy, you're going to have to sort of cut him some slack. But there you go, everybody. I'd like to say welcome to the Lord Vile's Vile File with the Lord Vile himself. Let's go. Mr. Vile, how are you, mate? You need to tilt your camera up. I'm looking at your roof.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. Look at that. Oh, look, he's all sort of like blurry and he's all like scratchy and all the rest of it. So I'll just get you to tilt your camera down a little bit more if you could. Thank you, sir. Just a fraction more. Awesome. Well done, Mr. Vile. You're the real thing. Look at that. Everybody's else gone completely nuts. Yes, it is the Vile. Absolutely fantastic. So there you go. It is this. It's the Oz behind the curtain. Mr. Vile, how are you going tonight?
I'm very well. Just because before we start, just got to say hello to my little friend.
Very good. So my question to you, what is with the Babu Frick fascination? What's the deal with that?
I just love cute little things.
Cute little things. I can interpret that many different ways, couldn't you? So there you go.
Whether it be little dogs or little cats or like just little creatures.
Love it. And you are right, Greg King, the Vile is actually real. He's the real deal. So my first thing I've got to ask you, right? In the show, like the Vile file has sort of got a life of its own. And even though I know you sort of really contribute to it directly, how have you found the growth of the whole thing? Is the kind of thing that sort of spins you out? Are you actually getting recognized in the street now by nerds? How have you found it all?
I don't get out that much anyway, but it actually does fascinate me, gives me a great laugh. That has absolutely cracked me up. And I mean, I think of far worse things and get into the Vile file like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, no, it's
That
good
is
stuff.
No, I love it. And it's funny because you become a bit of a personality. And I'd said to Aaron, I said, there'll become a time when the Vile actually just wanders through a supernova and Oz Comic Con. And everybody goes, oh my God, there he is. And you'll end up with a whole bevy of all these beauties all around you because they all want a piece of the Vile, so to speak. What do you
I
reckon?
wish I had. I've actually got a photo, this great photo of me as a Klingon. And there you are on your own at the Star Walking table, and I'm like sort of, smooching up to this sexy girl in a Catwoman outfit
Love it.
at
Now,
a
for what?
supernova.
Yes, exactly right. So what a lot of people don't know is the Vile, aside from being a super cool dude, is immensely popular. He's actually a scenic artist and paints a lot of pictures everywhere and does the world's best happy birthday cards for those who are lucky enough to receive them. So you got a whole background in art. That's how you sort of got into the fan scene, wasn't it? It was all through the fan films when you were needed for background pictures and concept art and stuff like that. Is that right?
I mean, I always say, like, my two biggest influences were basically after seeing the SPFX of Empire back in 1980, 81, whenever I saw it. And I basically thought, oh, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want to, like, do matte paintings for films. And ended up doing it for theatre instead. That's okay. And then in 1989, I also got interested in Gone with the Wind, which is actually the first film I collected as we get into the collection stuff. And that was a big inspiration as well. And then I discovered theatre and really got involved in that, and it went on from there.
Very good. And the other thing that Vile is known for is when he comes to my place, hanging out for parties, staying until all hours of the night. And our record at the moment is 14 hours for a party that was held a couple of years ago when the COVID lockdowns were sort of on a pause. And now I do like this one, right? And I agree with this. Grant has said, heard that the Vile has been announced as a guest at the next Super. I reckon that's the go. I reckon there should be a crowdfunding campaign. Piss your actors off. Get rid of your comic book artists. Just have the Vile. Him and nobody. What do you reckon, Mr. Vile? Can you imagine being up on the stage with tens of thousands of throbbing nerds all looking at you and like loving everything you got to say?
Like doing some Iron Maiden karaoke, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing is that you're big fans of Gone with the Wind, Star Wars, and yeah, you're right. You got your Iron Maiden thing in the Essendon Football Club, but the idea of Star Wars and Gone with the Wind is like what a bizarro combination that is.
Well, I mean, you look at it, Empire and the Gone with the Wind posters, and they're the same thing. So that's nice. Nice, Russell.
Yeah, good stuff. And even Phil has said that Gone with the Wind is his mother's favourite movie, which is fantastic. And of course, you do actually have a bit of a collection. You have sent me through a couple of photos. Now, unlike some of the people who've seen,
Yeah, actually, all my Gone with the Wind stuff's mainly away, and I've even got about 15 copies of the book from over the years because it's getting on for 80 years old now.
Very good. I like this one for Mark. Just have a rip it off the card panel and bring them all. The problem with that, Mr. Mark, is nobody would give a shit about anybody else. They'd just be the Vile only, and the rest of us just be sitting in the background going, well, we might as well get some popcorn while the Vile hogs all the limelight. Now, unlike some of the collections we've seen in this show tonight, which are really big and expansive and all the rest of it, the Vile does have some really interesting stuff, but the scale isn't as great, but the quality's still there. Got a couple of pickies we're going to show you. What do you reckon there, Mr. Vile?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with my collecting was I probably haven't collected for as long as a lot of people. I didn't really start getting serious about collecting until Phantom Menace came out, really. And it was when the director's cut films of Star Wars got re-released, and that sort of got me back interested in Star Wars. And then Phantom Menace came out. I thought, oh, well, there's this whole collecting thing that's going on, and that's something I was interested in, and then started, but that's where it went.
Very good. Now, of course, the thing with the Vile, of course, he's got the Sith Lord thing going on, and of course, one of his big fan crushes is, of course, the old More with It All. So tell us about all this.
Well, I mean, the red and black comes from being an Essendon supporter, which is not too much to be proud of at the moment. But I just thought he was really cool. I mean, it was another bit of a stereotype thing in the fact that he looked like a devil demon, blah blah blah. But it was very cool, and the whole double bladed lightsaber thing was excellent. And just the fact that like sort of the way he moved and it was based on martial arts, but yeah, just excellent. Just thought it was really cool. And when I first saw the film, I thought I just want to speak more, say more. You've got more to say, but in a way, less is more, as they always say.
Well, exactly right. So that's very, very cool. Now, we all have it. Now, Rusky Babes, when he's here, plops out his fun factoids, ripped off the card, fun factoids. And I'm going to let everybody know on a fun factoid that you know it, I know it, and most people don't know it. And it's about the Vile, right? And this is an absolute ripper before I get to the next picture.
Right.
The Vile said that he's a huge fan of Gone with the Wind. And, of course, Scarlett O'Hara was played by Vivian Leigh, right? Well, as it turns out, and I didn't know this until the Vile told me, and I go, oh, my, that's absolutely magnificent. Where did the Vile's name come from? Well, the first two letters of Vivian's first name and the first two letters of her last name, V-I-L-E, is where Vile comes from. I thought, how fantastic is that? So there you go. There's a rip off the card fun factoid. Is an absolute ball terror. What do you reckon that, Mr. Vile?
It's just a funny coincidence. It was also based on the fact that it was an good anagram of evil.
Yeah, I know. But I'm going to stick with the Vivian Leigh thing. I reckon that's really, really cool. So, so if they had hired another actress, he could have ended up with a completely different name. So, very, very cool. Now, in regards to other collectibles, now we just saw the Darth Maul one, which is great. Star Wars, a lot of Star Wars collectors out there. But we're going to show you a bit of the Vile's collection, which we have covered off in Treasure in the Suburbs before. And I love this one because this is so left field from most other things. And yet, you know what? This character has a massive fan following. And of course, it's the Gill Man from Creature from the Black Lagoon, Mr. Vile.
There was this photo actually got, there was a similar photo on Rip It Off the Card a while ago, but since then there's been a couple of things added, which is good. But the problem with the creature is everything's like so new. It's so expensive and so difficult to get anything older, which is all the stuff I'd love to get. Like some of the lobby cards and things like that are just gorgeous. But I had no idea when I first got interested, which was back in '87, how big a thing he really was. Like, because there just wasn't this connection with America, and there just wasn't all this. And the internet's really opened up all that, so it's great.
Well, as it is, when the Vault.
Sorry, I did get to see the pictures too in 3D at the Valhalla, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. Even I've never got that experience. And what I love about it is that when the Vol comes to my place, I've actually got some coffee coasters with classic 50s sci-fi movies on them. And he specifically always uses the Creature from the Black Lagoon one. So there you go. It has been permanently indented with vile impressions. Absolutely love that. What do you reckon, old son?
Yeah, definitely. Always have to violate the Gill Man.
Oh, yes, there's plenty of violations going on. And if you watch the very, very start of this show, when obviously Aaron's not with us, he's been definitely violated in more ways than one by the sounds of it. Now, we showed you the Darth Maul picture. We've got the Gill Man stuff, which is great because there's no other characters ever get produced from the movie except for the Gill Man. And I like this one. This is a bit of an overview of your room, Mr. Vile.
Yeah, this is that's right there. So a lot of books, which is like a lot of those are art-based books and making of sort of things. And I've collected all the the larger stormtroopers because I haven't got the money Spankin had. So and down there's the massive big pop vinyl of Babu Frick.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? Oh yeah, and my pride and joy, which I made for a costume back in 2010 for the Empire 30th.
Yep.
Yeah. Empire 30th of the Iron Cannon. Now, a lot of people think, the Iron Cannon is just on screen for 2 seconds, but for some reason, I was absolutely fascinated by it, and just wanted to make put it into a costume and did that. So, the Iron Cannon was there, like here, and then had there was a painting by Ralph McQuarrie, which was looking out over the top of the Iron Cannon from actually the base from which they fired, which actually would have been a good scene to get into the film, but obviously it would have been expensive to do, I guess.
Just getting back to the picture, you've got a General Grievous down here, I noticed. And, of course, you've got all your clone troopers and all the rest of it. So what's your focal point besides your Babu Fricks and Darth Mauls?
Well, I've only got two. I've only been able to get two Babu Fricks. There haven't been a great deal of him. I'd say the troopers. I've actually got, there's a wall you can't see over here, but of all the 3 3/4 inch figures, which I kind of specialize in, I've got quite a lot of the holographic figures, ghost figures as well. Yeah.
Well
and then
done.
If you look at that other picture again, if you really look in the right.
Hang on. Get it up. There we go. Yep.
Yeah, Babu Frick sort of covering it up. Because he's where the computer is now. Yeah, behind that's my like a little Vader shrine with a lot of Vader pieces, and I don't know if anyone saw them, the book of the Sith, and you could get a book of the Jedi, and it opens up and a little book comes out. Very cool.
Very good stuff. That is excellent work there, Mr. Vile. So you still, now, of course, what the other thing, and a lot of people may or may not be aware of this, is that even though you're big into Gone with the Wind and Star Wars and Essendon and whatever, but Star Trek is a bit of a thing for you as well. But you didn't collect any of the Star Trek stuff very much?
Not a great deal. Again, books. I'm really into like making of books and videos and docos and stuff. But as far as I've got about 5 Enterprise. I've still got to get an Enterprise B. I've still got to make my model of the Enterprise C, and I've got all the Enterprises I sort of want. So that's Vile Enterprises, the company.
I absolutely love it. So, like, I mean, I get violated every year because the Vile's like, I'm one of the lucky ones to receive a Vile birthday card, and it says Vile Enterprises on the absolute back, and that's good. You're still doing your artwork because you did have. Yeah, you have done some fantastic pop culture artwork in your time. Are you still doing any of that, or have you?
Not a lot. I really want to get back into it. It's just a matter of sorting things out. I have been doing a bit of studying as well, which has taken up a bit of time. So I'm keeping at that artwork and all like doing cards for the family as well. So, yeah,
good stuff.
And there's stuff I've started and I've got to get back to. So yeah.
So the question is when, because, with all the lockdowns and everything's all up to shit and the fan clubs are all up to shit and whatever else, when are we going to have a time where we get to see the Vile in person besides behind the guest table at a Supernova? I mean, we're going to have to sort of get you out of your shell and sort of mingle with the nerds again so people can actually see you in the flesh and have a bit of a chat to you.
Over at Aaron's shop. It doesn't sound like he will necessarily be there on Saturday.
Yeah, well, that's right. So for those who are interested, if you want to meet the Vile in person, although I don't know what time are you going to be there, do you know?
I know, late afternoon.
Late afternoon. That narrows it down to like 5 or 6 hours. For those who are interested, the Vile is planning to violate Aaron's shop on Saturday. I'm there. I don't know if Aaron will be there.
I've been threatening it for a fair while. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Yes, and Aaron's made a point about the Con 80 page that's on Facebook. For those who want to check it out, you might be able to see some of his art. It's absolutely fantastic. I've got to say, from a personal perspective, the Vile and I have had many, many hours of discussing pop culture stuff. If I need an absolute just to get some nerd shit happening, the dude can just keep pumping it out for for hours at a time. And of course, it was actually between like himself and myself back in 2016 where Sci-Fi Zone was first created, first conceived, and you come up with a name. How good's that? Hang on, you got to hold in front of the camera, dude. There you go. Yes. There's only one of 5 mugs in existence, and he's got one of the 5. So there you go. Gavin has said he'd love to meet the Vile. Tell you what, there's nothing. It
was fantastic seeing Gavin and his collection earlier. It was really great.
Very, very good stuff. And Thomas is saying that he's.
We'll have to have a Maul versus Yoda, thing. Now that'd be a cool battle.
Good stuff. Yoda absolutely love it. All right, well, it's now 10 o'clock, so I'm about to sign off. So I'm going to let you go, Mr. Vile. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on board. So I hope you've enjoyed the show and the fact that everybody's got to see you in the flesh for the first time, which is particularly cool. That means that everybody who's been watching this has been officially violated.
I'm not just a myth.
Yeah, but just indeedy duty died. All right, we'll leave you to it, Mr. Vile. You have a good one, okay?
All right. Yeah, bye.
And remember, if anybody asks you, who is the Vile, just say the Vile just is. How good was that? Well, guess what? After 2 hours, it's time to bring this daggy episode of Rip It Off the Card to a close. Absolutely fantastic. Now, with a bit of luck, next week, Aaron will be back. We're back to our usual standard fare of just googling on about toys and collectibles and stuff like that. But the key thing is, and I'm only joking, of course, we got to meet some fantastic people tonight, both those who have seen before and those who are first timers. And it's good to sort of get a nice mixture of what people collect and how they collect and why they collect and the things that they've got over time. And as was mentioned by Mark, yes, we're all one big bunch of happy nerds. So with that in mind, we're going to sign off for tonight. Who's we? It's just me. Are going to sign off for tonight. We've hopefully, saying again, I hope you've enjoyed the show. And as I mentioned at the very, very start, in case you missed it, if you want to see more episodes like this where we have far more guests on and Aaron doesn't appear, just let us know. I'm happy to kick him off any other time of the week. So there you go. And as always, may all of your collectibles remain mint in box. I'm waiting for Aaron's comment saying, nah, just rip them off the card. All right, leave it to it, guys. Aaron, get better soon. Get better soon, dude. Okay, everybody, party hard, rock on, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.